Hello one, hello all, it's the gothiest ghost of them all, Caspa in the flesh, and it's time for a review of Mike, Burning Desire. And I can't say I've been a huge fan of Mike up until this point, mainly due to how subdued and how unintelligible his vocals could be, or his production choices, where I just feel like he hasn't really gone the extra mile, hasn't really gotten too adventurous within his production choices, and it just ends up sounding like an Earl copy. But I will say the production has definitely reached a new level here. There is more intricacy this time around on this album and touches on very important subject matter, whether that be African culture, art, whether that be substance abuse, economic struggle, which leads to environmental issues, mental health, introspection. Now, Mike's lethargic delivery does come in at some points on this album, but it doesn't deter my overall enjoyment from this album because, to be honest with you, I think this album's great. Like on the opener, Dambe, where Mike comes off high, well, no, he is immensely high on here because you could hear him taking a pull before getting on the mic. It starts off coherent, but then he just kind of drops the ball and just drawls on into absolutely nothing, pretty much a tap out. And the track pretty much just ends before it begins. Now, as far as production goes, I think it's fantastic. It's lo-fi, it's mystifying, it's beautiful, it's moving, it's mind-bending, it's dense, it's hypnotic, it's surreal. Like on the following track, Zap, that has these grand horn shots with these glistening melodic loops, creating a very atmospheric landscape. The following track, African Sex Freak Fantasy, has these fuzzy drums and bass as Mike delivers these grunted refrains that sound something out of the A$AP Ferg playbook. Hoo, hoo, hoo. Over these linear opaque melodies. The following track, Snake Charm, has these bright jazzy piano keys, those echoed pitch down vocal samples dipping in and out of the mix. It feels like I'm in like a haunted stadium or theater and I'm hearing the spirits and echoes of soul singers that used to perform like in that venue. It kind of reminds me of something MF Doom or Blue would go to. After that, we have Please Don't Cut My Wings, featuring a huge influence to Mike, which is Earl Sweatshirt, with these strings that are so gorgeous, so enchanting, so full, so lush, with these serene woodwinds popping into the mix. Beautiful, it's awe-inspiring, and Mike delivers this slurred, chanted flow that kind of reminds me of Lil B from back in the day. And Earl comes through with very slick, meditative, but also confessional verse. And I love the royal, honorary, triumphant feel of this track, and the fact that Mike absolutely looks up to Earl and they're on together on the same track, collabing, just killing it. It's a beautiful thing. I also want to point out the use of vaporwave that's on this album, especially on Real Love, where we get a touching poem from Fashion Spitta, which I know is an interlude, but it's a damn good one, with this ambient, droning, lo-fi bed of chords and vocals, with this mind-bending vocal sample of Mary J. Blige's Real Love. It is an absolute trip as the vocals go from pitched down to chipmunk while staying in tune. It is a trip. It is a trip. It's pretty much the type of magic you would get off of a record like Donuts from J Dilla. After that, we have You Think Maybe. You Think Maybe has these intimate sax samples, angelic group vocals, and passionate and sultry vocal performances from Live and Venna. And I love how we get like these vinyl strokes at the end with this gorgeous jazzy instrumentation going off with these soaring vocals. It's the most trippiest neo-soul ending to a track I've probably heard all year. The song Set the Mood has these dreamy, warped, woozy-like chords with these chipmunked vocals while sounding in a haze, as Mike sounds more vibrant than ever on this track, and probably the most flirty on this whole album, as the lyrics go from flirty to real grim and concerning. Like when he starts asking, how many drinks will it take to get me to the stretcher, as they start scratching on the surface of what Mike has been going through on this album as they allude to it more and more. And then, if you're paying attention, you get a key line on here saying how long is it going to rain till it gets better, which plays into a track later on this album, playing into one of the main concepts. And then goes into this super dense ending with this crazy vocal pitch. And you don't really wait too long finding out what grievances Mike is bringing on this album here, as we get a message from Mike's late mother. Also, another thing I enjoy about this album is how certain clips play certain roles to the concept of this album, like on Billboards, where the track goes into, dare I say, dub territory, with these delays and feedbacks. It sounds like lasers, like something you would get off a classic dub track, with reverb, melodic guitar lines, and a very touching and endearing message from Mike's late mother, who plays a huge role into this album, that plays into the next track, 98, with these sour lines, false stops, and record skips on the back end, as Mike drops these humorous bars like, all this eye gaze, you come to my place, I don't have a fireplace, but I have a fire escape, but also dropping important lines of grievances to his deceased mother. And then there's Burning Desire, which plays a huge role into this album. While the production is very smooth and very sleek, there is tragedy within these lyrics, as conceptually Mike is talking about alcohol abuse that has been a plague to his family, and certainly a burden and an ongoing thing, an unfortunate matter, as he does not stray away from this conversation as he's reminiscing with his late mother in his past, where it's something he feels he needs to just face head to head, no hesitation. As I alluded to earlier, you will start to see the pieces of this album linked together to form into the concept that this album is going for, as the track goes to Burning Desire to They Don't Stop in the Rain, as the track has a clip of the back end of Mike speaking about having a performance at this show outside, and unfortunately they see rain clouds, and the rain clouds come and form rain over the concert, but that doesn't stop them. As the rain passes, they decide to keep performing. Ironically, the song that comes on is Burning Desire, as I feel this is symbolic to the concept of the album, Burning Desire, as in, do not give up, do not let obstacles get in your way, no matter what they are. This album is about perseverance and just staying strong and staying focused through whatever life throws at you. And I love the fat bass, the shimmering keys, the vocal samples, and even the tasteful interpolation of Lil' Kim's Crush on You. I know you heard me on the radio. True. I think where the album falters, though, is probably the features on this album, at least a majority of them. Like on Muscle Beach, where the performance is very sinister, very murky, but the features on here sound so asleep at the wheel. It's like you could have chose someone better. And the song Golden Hour, while has this gloomy, genius G-Funk production, but then Larry June says, "Oh, I'm about to go in," but then just sounds even more sleepy than when he started. Like, what are you about to go in? Eternal slumber? The song 16 has these blissful vocals, triumphant horns, and chunky bass, as Mike brings these bars about writing bars about the unfortunate circumstance of people around him growing envious of his success and perseverance. And what's heartbreaking is he is doing this for himself, but also, I would say, for his environment as well, and the same environment he is fighting for and representing is the one holding him back, which honestly is tragic. After that we have Should Be, which again is another track without Mike on it, but a very beautiful moment, and has these somber, cavernous strings, as we get these forlorn, quivering falsetto vocals, as we get these ghostly vocals from Leela Romani, which is so beautiful and so haunting at the same time. And unfortunately, the sung vocals we get from Mike on the next track is very underwhelming and not one of the most flattering tracks on the album, unfortunately. It's just very emotionally flat, very tedious, and I think could have just been left off here. Luckily though, the closer, Let's Have a Ball, ends this album off on a sort of moody and emotional and climactic note, with these depressive guitar lines and melancholy baritone guest vocals from Mark Williams Lewis, kind of reminding me of Archie Marshall of King Cruel fame, as the lyrics on the hook share a correlation to Mike's verse on 16 as Mark is saying, I have no problem with you, I am with you, let's form this alliance, let's stop fighting, let's join together, I'm not going to change, so I need you to appreciate me, and I need you to support me. And behind the moody chords, we get these glitchy bits of instrumentation that just rides over the guitar harmonies, tunes it out, and basically just dissipates the entire track into absolutely nothing, which I think is a very fitting ending for this album. So yeah, overall, with the exception of a few tracks where I felt like a few weak features, a few weak vocal performances, I think this is Mike's most ambitious album yet, his best album yet, and definitely one of my favorite albums of the year so far. How he was able to craft together such a great concept album, work with the concept, and add innovation to it. I think Mike has really outdone himself. Sure, there are some things he could work on a bit when it comes to maybe clarity, maybe song structure, but production-wise and focus, I think he gave us a great project overall. I do love this thing. I'm feeling a 4 out of 5 on this album. Yeah. But that's what I think. What do you think? Did you love this album? Did you hate this album? Why? And that's it. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, Mike, Burning Desire. Till we meet again.